Welcome back, Fiber Friends. It's been a while. So today's episode is going to be a little bit different. We're going to try something a little bit different. I have been in a slump when it comes to filming because, frankly, between you and I love putting out longer content because I feel like a lot of you get a lot from it. However, I hate editing. I hate it so much, in fact, that it has prevented me from posting essentially anything for months. So I'm going to see how much of a almost continual blog type of video that we can do, and I'm just going to update you on what I've been doing these past few months. So I went to Maryland Sheep and Wool. Obviously I got a nice haul of things and I actually filmed a bunch of content all about that, but again, the editing has really gotten in the way, so maybe I will post that content, maybe not. We will see. I'm not trying to hold myself to any unrealistic standards when it comes to these things. However, I do think that the end of TikTok is approaching, and I'm really sad about that because most of my community that I've cultivated is on TikTok. That's where most people have really come to enjoy my content. And so it's just really sad to see the end of it. But 'tis the nature of social media. I'm gonna try to migrate more and again produce more here on YouTube. So yeah, artists are gonna art. I'm gonna start with that. That's part of the reason that I've been gone for so long. So I was in a little bit of an art slump and I wasn't creating a ton, and then all of a sudden it was warm again and I had all this energy and I made a ton of things, and I just haven't had time to film all of the things because I've been actually making things. Some of them, most of them fiber arts related, but some of them not to jump scare any of you for later on. But I did make a puppet. I made two puppets. In fact, you can see one of them in the bottom corner. That's Daria over there, but we're going to introduce her later. We're not going to talk about that right now. We're going to start with the fiber arts, with the yarn, specifically some of the yarns that I made recently that I'm most proud of, and then some of the ones that are going to end up on the shop drop that I'm having on June 26th. I'm going to try to get this video out before June 26th, but fingers crossed. We're going to see how that ends up playing out. All right, so I'm gonna talk about the thing that honestly I feel like is the most exciting, which is that I did get a drum carder finally at Maryland Sheep and Wool. Insert cheering sounds here, very exciting. And I have been using it to its fullest extent. So this is some of that Gulf Coast native fleece that I picked up at Maryland Sheep and Wool. I even made a scrap bat. You can see it at the very bottom here. I'm not going to take all of these out because they are part of the 626 fiber drop. So if you want to know more about any of these, go check out the website. You can read all about them and what's in them. There's mixes of mohair that is all sourced here in New Jersey, stellina, bamboo, silk, lots of different things. So if you're interested in a little rare wool moment, these are going to be priced very affordably, at least in my opinion, especially for rare wool, just because I want to get that Gulf Coast native fleece kind of out there, because it has been a pleasure to spin. I've spun a lot of it. I plan on spinning a lot more of it. I am keeping a fair chunk of it for myself. The drum carder has made it so fun to process though, and I'll show you some of those skeins, but before I start talking about that, we'll go back to the yarn. So I did spin up this from Maryland Sheep and Wool. So it's a Princess Bubblegum and a Marceline the Vampire Queen inspired duo. This was combed top and this was a bat. Unsurprisingly, I liked spinning the bat a lot more, but I spun this first. Realistically, I should have spun this first because I would have probably ended up with a pretty decent yarn anyway, given the prep. I kind of overspun the combed, you can see, and it's because it's my first time spinning a silk, flax, and merino blend. I just put a little too much twist in it because I was worried about the merino, and I really didn't need to because the silk and the flax have very, very long staple lengths. I learned my lesson on this one though, and this one is perfect. I really love this one. This is probably going to end up being given away with whoever purchases like this skein. This skein I thought I was going to include in the shop drop, but it is becoming a part of my personal collection because frankly, I just can't let it go. So this is a boucle yarn that I spun. It's probably the best boucle I've ever spun, the boucle-iest boucle that I've ever spun, if I can say so myself. It has mohair, it has merino. I blended a lot of like this portion myself, and then there's mohair locks that I just kind of like lock spun. And then the way that I got it to do the boucle thing, like to the max, was I added extra twist to my thread ply. It was so boring. It was so boring. I did on my shacked matchless so that I could rack up the ratio as high as possible just to make it as speedy as possible, and it still was so mind-numbingly boring. However, it was worth it. I have 2 balls of fiber that have extra twist put into them, which is great. And I did bead this, so there's star beads, little wooden star beads. I don't know, it's hard to find them, the little wooden star beads. I feel like they ended up hidden inside, and the pearls. The pearls jump out. I'm really proud of this though, so I'm not listing it on the shop because I just can't let it go. I just think this is some of my best art yarn work thus far, and I kind of want to keep it as, like, I don't know, a sentiment to that. I don't know, I want to have more record of my art. I've been thinking about I've been purchasing a lot of little pieces of art from other small artists recently, and I'm going to do a whole video where I talk about all of those pieces because they're all going to come in around the same time. I can't remember the user's whole name, but I think it's Bridget something. She makes the glue babies. And she recently released a zine where it was photos of like a bunch of her glue babies, so that, like, if you can't purchase a glue baby, you can purchase like a zine with the photos of it. I loved the idea, and I would love to get better photographs of a lot of my yarns and maybe like release a very affordable booklet so you could see all of the like crazy art yarns that you can make. Because I don't see a lot of resources like that, and I personally would love something like that to flip through for inspiration to make other yarns. And so if it's not out there, why not make the resource myself? Because that's how a lot of these like fiber arts are. If you're into fiber arts, and you see a gap in the resources, you can be the one to make it. All these next skeins are going to be ones that I made out of the Gulf Coast Native to some capacity. So this was Gulf Coast Native and BFL are blended together for the white section. And then some Columbia that I got, it was the Sea Turtle Play Pack. It's like a hand-dyed, like, fleece play pack, so you get to blend the fleece yourself. I love, in the wool types of, like, yarns where it's just, I don't know, there's lots of like colors going on and you can see lots of points of interest if you look closely. And that's what all the blues and the greens and some of those, like, I don't know, I think I would call it like a maroon color. And then these are all the Gulf Coast Native. I would call them like my experiment skeins to make sure that I liked the way that Gulf Coast Native spun up with all of these different ingredients, as I put it. So all of these have a Gulf Coast Native base as the wool white base. This is blended with just Columbia and Corriedale wool to give it pops of color. This one is blended with mohair and silk to see how, like, it kind of, because this is really airy and cushy. It's like the definition of like a woolen yarn in my mind. I really, really like this yarn. I think it's perfect. But I wanted to see if I could get like a slightly drapier version. I say slightly, with mohair and silk, and then this one has bamboo. And I really like the outcomes. I am not crazy about spinning bamboo in a lot of contexts, especially when it's blended with merino. It's just not my thing. I'm sorry. I know people love the panda top. But I really liked this. This was a pleasure to spin. It made spinning the bamboo really, really easy because Gulf Coast Native is such an easy spin. It's like Cheviot, but better, because I'm actually not that crazy about Cheviot. I know a lot of people are. It's just not my favorite. But I love the Gulf Coast Native. It's great. It just like turns into yarn in front of your eyes. It's super lofty and squishy, captures a lot of air, and I think so it lends itself well to being blended with some like softer, like silkier fibers, just because it keeps its loft. It doesn't get too drapey on you, but it also gives a little bit more softness to an otherwise like medium type fiber. I have no idea if I showed these off yet. I'm not going to go into detail about them because it'd just be long-winded, and again, I'm trying not to edit this video too much. But I spun this recently. I was really happy with this 3-ply. This 3-ply fractal I think just turned out perfectly. This chunky 2-ply is just very pretty and super soft. I don't know, I kind of had a little while there where I was struggling to come up with ideas, but I feel like I'm back in my mojo. Like, I know what I'm gonna spin next after this, so I'm super excited. Okay, so these are the puppets. This is Clyde. This is Daria. I'm now realizing that they both are kind of fiber arts projects, because this guy, I obviously made the felted fabric with all of these locks so that he could look sheepy. And then for her, I made her a yarn wig. It's not the best, but she's rock and roll. It's great for her. And if you think it looks similar to Sophie Tro's puppets, it's because I kind of made them based off of Sophie Tro, who is a singer who makes puppets that go along with their music. That's what Daria's sick tattoo is here. Sophie got to sign Daria, which is super rad. When I went to the concert in Brooklyn, so that was super cool. And yeah, that's what I've been up to. I'm gonna keep it short and simple. Thank you so much for watching my little update. I'm hoping to have, again, more content uploaded soon. Maybe this will motivate me to finally edit all of that Marilyn Shippen Wool footage. And we'll see you guys next time.